Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel for episode 17 of Welcome to the Dark Sun, also known as, you know, probably the final one. I guess I could also call it the one where we face Cinder, but that happens, but also it's the last episode of this campaign, and that's exciting, but kind of a little sad. I really like my character, but we'll get to that in a bit. So unfortunately not everybody could make it to the table for this session, but we did have Salentithius, Dono, Vashti, Nibbles, and Bardock. So we were only missing one of the bugs, Drudok, so not so bad, and he was at the session beforehand. If you remember, at the end of the last episode, we came up in the Black Sands and to the ruins, and there was like a faux ziggurat built, and there were raiders coming at us. All told, there were 11 of them. One was the Iron Rider, who Dono has a particular vendetta against because he kind of wiped out the entire clan of Arigato. Then I believe there were 4 footmen, 3 on Crodlu, and another 3 who were manning one of the ballistas on the faux ziggurat. I think the best thing that happened here was Dono was like, I'm gonna kill this guy, and like he won initiative and completely missed twice while trying to hit the Iron Rider. And so we were like, he's just a little stressed out because this guy wiped out his entire clan. Vashti cast See Invisibility in case there was anything creepy around, but there wasn't at this point. And Bardock called down some lightning, and then Dono finally managed to hit this Iron Rider. And he managed to crit him twice in a row, but somehow rolled 2 1s on his damage dice. So it's like, he's trying to kill this Iron Rider and it's just not happening. Eventually though, he does manage to wear this guy down, and one of the other foot soldiers just walks over and puts on the helm and the gloves, and we're like, great, there's a new Iron Rider. And Dono managed to kill him too. And then guess what happened next? You're right, another guy put on the Iron Rider gear. Which you'd think at this point they'd be like, people are putting that on and they keep dying, maybe I shouldn't, but no. If you remember, before we set out to come here, Dono had bought a ton of new chariots for us and a bunch of Crodlu, and he made sure that the chariots had spikes on the wheels, which was super effective in this battle when the Crodlu riders came up to us, because those Crodlu were taking a ton of damage. And around this time, probably one of the best catchphrases from this session to come out was, wait, you have evasion, right? Because people were like throwing fireballs and like sand knife and all that fun stuff, and so just double checking that their friends that were nearby were gonna be able to get away from it. And it kept coming up and it was pretty funny. At this point, Nibbles was running around and trying to take people off their Crodlu, and Vashti went to take the wheelchair accessible route up to the ballista with her chariot. And it was pretty funny because she showed up at the ballista and then just rained fireballs down on them. But meanwhile, things weren't going so well for Dono because everybody kind of hated him because he kept killing the Iron Rider. Bardock, however, had a solution, and he wild shaped into an arrowhawk, and he flew over and picked up Dono, and then we basically had like terror from the sky, like this hawk holding an archer. But I managed to kill the real Iron Rider, and then somebody else put on the helm. Meanwhile, Vashti was not having a good time with the people on the ballista, and she managed to take 2 ballistas to the face and somehow not die, but it was super dicey there. Finally, Dono killed the last Iron Rider, and everybody else kind of scattered. They were like, we are out of here. Take the ziggurat, we don't care. Salentithius went and grabbed the helm and put it on, but Salentithius is a Thri-Kreen, so obviously it didn't fit, and the gloves didn't fit. So he was just kind of walking around holding the gloves with the helm on, and then he got over to Dono and like popped it on his head, because that's the true Iron Rider now. When we were pilfering the bodies after the fight, Dono realized that the first Iron Rider, the first one we had killed, was actually his former master from the clan Arigato. So it turned out that it was an inside betrayal job, and he was pretty sad. And we were all pretty sad because he named his master Mr. Roboto. So in order to get into the ziggurat, we had to climb all the way to the top level and start working our way down. We obviously let Dono go first because he was wearing the Iron Rider helm. And he went in and he was like, hey Cinder, I need to talk to you. And when he walked into the room, there was a statue and like a mirror on the wall, and also 5 constrictor snakes. Yay, snakes. They came out, they managed to bind a few of us. It was a bit of a fight, but then Bardock summoned some other snakes, and so it was just like snake on snake battle, and we managed to get done with it. By this point, we had to take a short rest though. Like, I had taken no damage in that chariot battle, but after this incident with the snakes, I was down to less than half my hit points. And there was no way I was gonna go against Cinder without at least having half my hit points. From what we could tell, there was no way to get out of this room. The statue had one fist out, and so Dono fist bumped it, but it didn't do anything. But then Nibbles took a look at the mirror and realized that the other fist was out, and so we just switched on the statue, and then a spiral staircase opened, and we descended to the next level of the ziggurat. Before we went down the stairs though, Vashti cast See Invisibility again, and so she went first with Dono following right behind, and it was a good thing that she had cast that because there were 3 giant invisible spiders. Spiders, just why? I will take snakes any day, but spiders, just no. Vashti pointed out where they were, Nibbles was able to punch one to death, Dono restrained one, and I think Vashti took out the last one. I didn't even have to get involved, and that was a-okay by me. The next room we came to was about 100 feet across, and in the middle there was about a 40-foot wide lava pit with a rope across it. And I didn't trust the rope, and I was like, that's 40 feet, I can jump it, I can jump 50 feet, we're all good. Dono was trying to figure out if he could like shimmy along the rope underneath of it, but it was pretty tight, and so he ended up shooting a bow and arrow with some rope tied to it across to the other side and shimmying. Meanwhile, Nibbles touches the rope and she just disappears completely. And because Vashti has See Invisibility, we know that she's not invisible, she's actually gone somewhere. Instead of immediately going after her though, we wanted to see if we could get out the other side. But nobody wanted to risk their lives, and so we just let Dono go across. And Dono got to the other side, he got right to where the door was, and he dropped off the rope and fell into a pit trap. And when he got out of that pit trap, he checked beside him and found another pit trap. And another, and another. And like the entire side on the other side was just full of pit traps. So I'm really glad that I didn't try to jump it because I would have just landed in a pit trap. After searching everywhere, he kind of makes his way back to the door and checks it. Turns out it's a fake door anyways. You open it up, it's just a wall behind it. Seeing that, Salentithius is like, meh, whatever, touches the rope, goes after Nibbles to wherever Nibbles is. Vashti grabs the rope too, and then Bardock just stares down Dono and touches the rope himself, and now we're all gone and Dono is by himself. Eventually Dono managed to make his way back over by like skirting along on his rope, and he held tight to his rope, pulled out of the wall so he wouldn't lose the rope, and then touched the rope and came to where we were, which was like this giant harem room full of pillows and silks, and there was a rug that you could touch and it would bring you back to the lava room, and then you just touch the rope and come back. Magic. We explored this floor for a bit, and it really just seemed like there was a lot of rooms from the ruins that had been picked up and just kind of shoved in place. There was like a prayer room, a storage room, an armory, but like everything was broken. Behind one of the doors we found, there was a stairwell down, but we decided to take a long rest because we had been in here for a while and everybody kind of wanted to recuperate their spells because we figured we were getting pretty close to Cinder. In the morning, we went down the stairs, Salentithius picked the lock at the bottom, and it revealed like a 120-foot long corridor with a door on the other side. When we got down there, Salentithius started investigating and he found a ring with 5 bone keys on it. He checked to see if the keys would work in the door, and when he realized they wouldn't, everybody kind of started looking for another way around. But we had to open this door too to see just in case there was something behind it. And despite his best efforts, Salentithius couldn't get the door open, so we ended up like using 3 people just like brute force it open. And shockingly, there was nothing behind it. Nibbles used her feat Lucky, and she investigated, and she managed to spot not so much a keyhole, but the light reflecting from the keyhole of the door we had opened onto the stairwell. And I figured out what it was, and so I closed the doors, and I used the key, and when we opened the doors, the stairs went down instead of up. And with that, we were down to the next level. This level was much like the level above, where it was just a bunch of random rooms jammed in to make a floor. But one room in particular, is like a classroom, had a trapdoor on the floor. We opened it up, it smelled terrible, like burning fire and the depths of hell, so we closed the door and we kept exploring. After looking around for a while and somebody almost getting sliced apart with a guillotine, we decided to go down the trapdoor because we could hear voices and sounds down there. And we had a pretty solid feeling that it was Cinder down there and she was invoking some sort of ritual. So we decided the best course of action was to take the Hobbit and throw the Hobbit down the hole and towards the Cinder. And when Nibbles got down there, she saw piles and piles of corpses that have been drained of their life force. It's all piled up along the walls, a pentagram in the middle, and Cinder standing in it, starting to cast her ritual. Well, we obviously couldn't have that happen. So Dono slid down the ladder and shot with his bow and arrow and completely missed her. But because he was still wearing the Iron Rider's mask, he tried to deceive her. And he said, "Oh, I missed the Hobbit. I'm sorry, Cinder." And it didn't work out for him. It was close, but not quite. By this point, the rest of us had started to file down, and Bardock used Hold Person on Cinder. And Bardock has been working hard to get his saving rolls up high so that this will actually work on people. And Cinder failed the first save, which was pretty amazing because if you hit someone who's held, it's an auto crit. Unfortunately, Cinder also had a layer action, and the layer action was to attach like these beams to Bardock. And every time Cinder got hit, Bardock had to roll a con check to not take half the damage. And somehow he managed to make his con check almost every time. We hit Cinder a lot. Bardock only took 12 points of damage the entire time. Only one failed con save. And when he failed that con save, he was able to keep his concentration up, so Cinder remained held. And she couldn't make that save either. But like, we were pouring everything we could to help Bardock. He had an inspiration point, he used it. I had an inspiration point, I gave it to him. Nibbles had an inspiration point, she gave it to him. Vashti used Bardic Inspiration to help with another save. It was a very group effort, and it was just like, if you look at the imagery, it's like this mall druid, used to be a slave, lover of King Calic who's not a defiler, taking on this defiler, and just like taking the damage from this tether, even though he didn't really take a lot of damage. And it was like one of those things though, Bardock was the worst person for us to be tethered because he also had the hold person. So every time we hit Cinder, if he didn't make it, he'd have to make a concentration check. But fortunately, like I said, he made it almost every time. Remember how Vashti specifically took Mage Slayer at level 8 as her feat? It was completely ineffective here. Because Bardock got hold person on so quickly, there was no point in Vashti doing that. So she has this feat that she used for no reason, but it's just so funny because she was so prepared for not. She did, however, effectively use Cloud of Daggers. Cinder can't move. It means that she starts every turn in that Cloud of Daggers, so that was quite a bit of damage. But I think Salantithius was probably the one who dealt out the most damage. At level 8, I was able to take a spell from any of the classes, and so I looked far and wide and I came across Branding Smite. Branding Smite deals an extra 2d6 damage. Plus, I'm a rogue and I had Nibbles standing right beside me, so I got to deal my sneak attack, which is 4d6. And then my Githka is 2d4 plus 4. So I hit Cinder, it was an auto crit because she was held, so I got to maximize all of those rolled dice, and then I got to roll my other ones, and I did 75 points of damage, which was pretty awesome. And Bardock made his save. My DM actually ended up tripling the amount of hit points Cinder had because he saw that we were having so much fun, and like she just couldn't make the save. Otherwise it would have been over a lot sooner, but it was so much fun to just like keep pumping crazy amounts of damage into her. He even let it go one more round because he wanted Vashti to have a chance to, you know, use Mage Slayer, and instead Vashti just walked up and was like, I stab her! And with that stab of the Iron Longsword, Vashti did in Cinder. We got some cool things from her lair, including her head, which we decided to take with us. And we also picked up an alchemy jug, and some money, and a couple magic fruits. After that, we left the faux ziggurat, we got back in our chariots, and we made our way back to the city of Tyr. Well, as we were getting into Tyr, we noticed that it was pretty much deserted, and all of a sudden, all these purple tendrils that we were so used to from gripping Bardock started shooting out of the ziggurat. It looked to us like the ziggurat was finished, and that King Calic was doing exactly what Cinder had been doing. We may have stopped one defiler, but it looked like another one was about to become a dragon. So as you can imagine, we're going, crap, what do we do? We just fought this one defiler, and it worked out really well for us, but are we going to be able to do this again? There was talk about just piecing out to Alturic because, you know, we have honorary citizenship there. But in the end, we decided maybe we should stay and fight, just obviously not get gripped by those tendrils. And then everything stopped. And at the top of the ziggurat, we saw Tithian, the head of the Templar, step up and hold up the head of King Calic and proclaim that Tyr was a free city and that all the slaves were liberated and everyone was free. Bardock was really angry. But that's where we ended our session, and that's where we ended our campaign. The city of Tyr is free, and for the time being, we have no use for our characters. Next, we're jumping into a new campaign, which is the Freedom campaign. I don't know if there's going to be any modifications, but I do know that that's where we're going to next. So we're going to roll some new characters soon, and get to see Dark Sun from a different light. Don't forget that this Sunday is going to be slightly different for my update. It's actually going to be my DM talking about his process for picking this campaign, for picking Dark Sun, and everything they did to get us to the point of the end of our campaign that we just finished. And with that, thanks for watching the series. Thanks for coming along with me as I learned about Dark Sun, and I will see you on the other side. You let me do my thing. Of course. The second I decide to stop filming. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel for, I don't remember what episode it is. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel for, hello everyone and welcome back, nope, God you're stupid.